Hi, and welcome to today's 4-Minute Mark. We are in Mark chapter 8, starting at verse 1 today. During those days, another large crowd gathered. Since they had nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. If I send them home hungry, they will collapse on the way, because some of them have come a long distance." His disciples answered, "But where in this remote place can anyone get enough bread to feed them?" "How many loaves do you have?" Jesus asked. "7," they replied. He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. When he had taken the 7 loaves and given thanks, he broke them and gave them to his disciples to set before the people, and they did so. They had a few small fish as well. He gave thanks for them also, and told the disciples to distribute them. The people ate and were satisfied. Afterwards, the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. About 4,000 men were present. And having sent them away, he got into the boat with his disciples and went to the region of Dalmanutha. Okay, there are some more liberal Bible scholars who say that this in Mark chapter 8 is just another version of the feeding of the 5,000. Here, Jesus feeds 4,000. They're talking about the same event, it's just different people had the different details differently, and so we kind of have a repetition of the story here. Well, it is sort of a repetition of the story, but Jesus is going to talk about this a little bit later and refer to both the 5,000 feeding and this 4,000 feeding. So I think this actually did happen. Of course, that's my belief about the Bible, that this actually did happen. And yes, Jesus repeats a miracle. How many times has Jesus repeated miracles in my life? How many times has he forgiven me of my sins? How many times has he given me a zeal for him again when my zeal was dying? How many times has he healed me from illnesses? How many times has he superintended circumstances for me? Yes, Jesus repeats miracles. Praise God that he does. And Jesus repeats a miracle here because he has compassion on the people, showing us again the heart of Jesus. And he says, "These people have been with me for 3 days." Now, we see pictures of people lined up for days to get Super Bowl tickets, or we see people lined up for days to be the first one in to see the new Star Wars movie, that kind of thing. Can you imagine people going somewhere for 3 days to see Jesus and to hear Jesus talk? Jesus was really something. I mean, we get antsy after a 1-hour church service, right? Kind of look at the watch, going, "Oh, time to go eat." These people were with Jesus, and they probably brought some resources with them, but now they don't have any. And in order to go back to their homes, Jesus says they're not going to make the trip. They need to be nourished. So let's feed them. Well, all we have is 7 loaves of bread and a few small, notice it says fish, small. How are we going to feed all these people? Remember, disciples, remember Jesus did something very similar when he fed 5,000 people with limited resources. Well, we don't remember, do we? Many times God has to remind us of his truths over and over again because we so easily forget. The disciples are doing what we do. They look at the situation and they panic. There's nothing we can do about this. Jesus, come on, be reasonable. We look at the way things are around us and we forget God. Jesus has to remind the disciples and us through this miracle that he is the one who is always in charge. Okay, and as I said, Jesus is going to actually comment on this a little bit later. And we might get to that tomorrow, we might get to that on Friday. So, see you later. Bye-bye.